Welcome back to another coffee and a chat and a different chair in a different room because, yeah, it's one of those times I'm having a little problem finding someplace quiet. And I don't know how quiet it's going to be because the dogs have followed me in here already, knocked the camera over, and yeah, I'm starting again. I didn't save that one for you guys, but I have several weeks ahead of me where my house is going to be a little more full. There's going to be at least one other person here, and so it may get really challenging to find a quiet place. And I know my office in my little corner should be quiet, but if somebody's watching TV, yeah, it feeds. The camera or the mic, whatever, picks it up, and so it's not that quiet. I mean, even when stuff is going by on the road outside, I hear it get picked up, but the TV's pretty bad. So I'm being a little challenged, but that's okay because I'm always looking for a way to make things work. And I've already thought, you know what? If I have to, I'll just go sit in my car, because isn't that what real YouTube people do? Is at least one video ever so often from their car? So we'll see. Okay. So today I wanted to just share a little bit about one of the ways that I hear God speak to me. God is always speaking to us. I believe that's true. I think that the problem is we don't always know how to listen. And, when you're first, if you're a new Christian or a new follower of Christ and you're trying to get your bearings, and there's so much to learn and so many changes and all. But one of the things that people often are going, but how do I know when God's speaking to me? How do I know it's God, that it's not just me or it's not the enemy speaking to me, but how do I know it's God? And so that can be quite a lengthy answer to that, because there's so many different ways that he may speak to us. And maybe there's just a few ways that he'll speak to you, or maybe there's a lot, and we each hear him in our own way. See, do you hear that? That's dogs that think it's playtime and they've got a toy that they're putting on the hard floor. I don't know. I tried to explain to them that I need them to be quiet, but they're not listening. So, what a great thing. Sometimes that's the way we are. God is trying to tell us something, but we're not listening. And we understand about as good as the dogs. Anyway, there are many ways that he speaks to us, but even the Bible talks about that he will speak to us in our dreams, that he will speak to us at night. And there's many, many examples in the Bible of people that God spoke to them in their dreams. And so that's kind of the one thing I kind of want to address today, that one of the ways that God speaks to me is in dreams. And how do I know that that dream is from him? So this is what I've learned over the years. The first thing is that dream is usually very vivid, very detailed. And there may be things that happen in that dream that wouldn't happen in a normal dream. Like in a normal dream, if I was to try to dial the telephone, first off, the telephone may not, dial the phone, that shows how I'm, to call out on a phone number, I may not be able to do it. I can't remember the numbers, or you push them and they don't work, or the phone doesn't work like that. Back when we had rotary dials, I would always dream that it just kept going in a circle and I couldn't make it stop where it was supposed to. But if I'm having a prophetic dream, I can dial that number. I will know the phone number. Another thing is, in regular dreams, I usually can't read things that are written down. It seems all jumbled to me. But when I'm having a prophetic dream, I can read it. And sometimes I can memorize or, quote out scripture that I've memorized, where in a regular dream I get all confused or whatever. So there is a vividness to it, great detail, and things work like they're supposed to, not the confusion that usually happens in just a typical dream. The other thing is, what else in those dreams is that I usually wake right up out of a prophetic dream. And when I say prophetic dream, that's what I mean, is that God is speaking to me in that dream. So I usually will wake up in that, out of that dream and not go on and dream other things and then remember it later. And when I wake up, I can remember all the details. Now, one of the things I've learned that's important is to right away write down all those details, as many as I can remember and as I can get right. Because otherwise, later on I might be going, okay, so what was it exactly, so as well, it's still fresh in my mind, I write it down, but I usually can remember that dream. Also, when I'm having a dream from the Lord like that, a lot of times all my senses are in play. Not always, but a lot of times. So I can smell smells, I can feel like the air moving and breathe, the breeze across my face, or, if I touch something, I can feel it. I can see things, I can hear things, I could taste something. All my senses are intact, like it's really happening. And the greatest confirmation that it has been a dream from the Lord is when it actually happens. And today I was reminded of a time years ago. We had a small church, and we had exactly 50 chairs in our little room where we met. It was just a new church that was starting out. Sorry, still having problems getting comfortable. Believe it or not, my knee and stuff still hurts, but it's getting better every day. Okay, so we just had 50 chairs in this room where we met, but those chairs had never even been close to full. There was maybe 15 people that, with kids, maybe 20 on a good Sunday, and we were just getting started. Well, this one Sunday morning, I woke up out of this dream, and I told my husband, this is my first husband, not Marvin, and I told him I had a dream that our church was so full of people. All the chairs were filled and people were sitting on the floor. We had to ask the young people to sit on the floor, so there would be chairs for the older ones, and then there were other people that just stood along the edges of the walls. It was jam-packed in there. And, and I just thought, wouldn't that be just wonderful? That's why I was saying if something like that happened, but it was just so real. It felt so real. It was, and I was like thinking, this might have been something from the Lord, but we're not even close to, filling all our chairs. So I don't know. And so we got ready. We went to church, got there early. And because, when you're a really little church, then, the pastor and his family does everything usually, so we got there, made sure the chairs were all set around. And we had some that they were all mismatched chairs that had been donated. Okay. But we had some that folded, and we'd always fold those up against the wall so that, because they were just going to be empty anyway. And so that day we did, just had said, what, let's just set up all 50 chairs. Because what if that dream was God saying something's going to happen? But yet it just seemed so impossible. And yet as people began to show up that morning, and sitting down and then getting ready, and I was paying attention to some other things that had to, I wasn't really looking at everybody. I was trying to talk to our music guy, making sure what songs we were going to do, because I sang on the worship team. And so, I was kind of, getting some of those details, those last minute details down and stuff. And I heard a woman's voice saying, I couldn't even find a place to park. I had to park down the road and walk in here today. And I thought, what? Because the parking lot where our little building was, where our little room, actually it was just a room, where the room was in this building, the parking lot was quite large, and there were no businesses open on Sunday. So there was more than enough room. Nobody ever had a problem finding a place to park. And so I turned around and looked, and it was like, oh my goodness, where did all these people came from? So pretty soon all the chairs were full, and somebody was saying, what do we do now? We even took the folding chairs down, everything's set and the chairs are full. And I knew right away. I said, okay, we ask all the children and the younger people to sit on the floor, and then allow room for chairs, and, or for the older people to have chairs. And then those who can, if there's not room to sit on the floor, because there won't be, and there wasn't, then have the others, those that can, to stand around the edges, because we're going to fill this room. And all of a sudden I realized that that dream I'd had was happening. And so, it was a very exciting morning. But, so why did I have that dream? I think part was, God saying, look, let me show you what I can do. But also, we had a problem and we didn't know what to do about it. And yet I did know. I knew exactly what to do because I'd already seen it in the dream. The children and the young people, they all moved to the floor. Those that can stand will stand, and we make sure the older people and people that need a chair, that those 50 will be in the chair. So we never counted how many people were there that Sunday, but we know there was over 50 because all 50 chairs were full and then some. So that I knew that was a dream from the Lord, because there it was. But yet when God gives us a dream or he speaks to us about something, it doesn't always happen right there in that moment. Sometimes it takes a while. Some dreams are for the future. I've had some, there was one prophetic dream that I had probably 20 years before it actually happened. And I had struggles understanding that dream and what it all meant, but it was the most real dream oh my word, it was so real that I really thought that maybe God had transported me to this other place, and I'd gone through it. And sometimes it feels that way, like John on the island of Patmos, and then he's caught up in the spirit into the heavenlies and into the throne room of God. And I've had dreams like that where it's like I was transported somewhere else, caught up in the spirit, and really went there. And I don't know, maybe I did. But this one dream, it took forever. And then when it happened, I was like, oh, that's what this is. And it really helped me through a difficult time, because God had already put it in my spirit years before. Why did he do it years before? I don't know. When he told Noah that he was going to flood the earth and he needed to build an ark and all of this, and then he told him to preach to people, to tell them they needed to repent. From the time God told Noah that he was going to make it rain until it actually rained. And you've got to keep in mind, when you read in the Bible, you find out it never rained before. So people didn't know water falling out of the sky. They were like, Noah, you are the craziest crazy. You're building this gigantic boat the size of, 2 football fields, which they wouldn't have known what a football field was. But I'm just saying something that big. You're building this gigantic boat in the middle of the desert. Oh, you are a Looney Tune. Because the time frame of all of that was roughly 100 years. 100 years until the fulfillment of the Word of God. So God sometimes, for his reasons, for his purpose, he tells us something way before it happened. When he told John on the island of Patmos about the end times and the things that would take place, a couple thousand years. And we are seeing some of those things taking place. I do believe that we are seeing some of those prophecies fulfilled now. And if we truly are, then we're going to see a lot more. And that's a whole nother video. And I just have to avoid that. I really want to go into it. Just my feelings on things, because I do believe that the time of the Lord is near, that his return is close, which means we don't have time to be fooling around with foolishness and things of this world, that we've got to be very serious about our relationship with him and listening to him. And that's kind of why I think that I will probably do some other videos of ways that I hear from God, but and how it works for me, in case any of that makes any sense to you. I know that many of you have your own experiences of hearing God speak to you. And we need to be talking about those things. We need to be looking and listening for him to speak to us. Because if we truly are seeing prophecies beginning to be fulfilled from the end times, things out of the book of Daniel, things out of the book of Revelation, if we are seeing these things happen right now, it's going to be very, very more important than it's ever been for us before to hear God's voice and know what it is that He wants us to do, where we're supposed to be, what we're supposed to say. It's, I think, going to be more crucial. Is more crucial. So I just wanted to share that one little thing. I've had lots and lots of dreams. That is one of the ways that He speaks to me a lot. And so maybe you're one that has dreams or visions. A vision is like a dream, only you're wide awake when it happens. Have those sometimes too. If you have those, see, part of my thing was when I was growing up in the church I was in, they never talked about those kinds of things. And so I would sometimes think there might be something wrong with me. And I remember when I was 14, I had a vision, and I never had a vision before, something like that happening when I was wide awake. And it kind of scared me a little bit because I didn't know what it was. And so I went to talk to my youth pastor about it. And then he was like, well, hang on a minute. We need to go talk to the pastor too. And then they told the church secretary to go to lunch. And we went into the pastor's office, and they shared with me what that was, how they had, because it was actually a call to the ministry in my life is what that was. And so they shared with me their supernatural experiences that they had with God when they were called into the ministry. And the reason they told the church secretary to go to lunch and stuff is they're like, most people in this church, they're not going to be okay with us talking about this. And so we don't want any chance of rumors or anything. So evidently they didn't trust the church secretary. She wasn't part of the in-group with those having supernatural experiences. But, and maybe you've grown up that way, or maybe you believe that way and all. Buckle up, people. It's going to be a bumpy ride, because the supernatural is only going to get stronger. And we're all going to be experiencing supernatural things. Many people already are. So anyway, if you're having dreams and they seem different than other dreams and they seem very real and very vivid, write them down. And, and if you see them take place, you'll know. But until the fulfillment, because like I said, I've had some that, 20 years later is when I finally see, them come about. That's a step of faith, to kind of hold on to that and trust God for what it is He's going to do. But I have usually found that the dreams He's given me have been to help me know what I need to do and where I need to do it, or how to handle a certain situation, things that He's bringing into my life so that I'm prepared. And sometimes they're just encouraging. When you think that everything's over. See, as you get older, I think we all can hit that point where we're like, maybe I'm too old for God to use now. Maybe He's done with me. And I don't believe that's true. Here's what I believe. I believe that as long as there's still breath in our body, it's because He's still planning to use us. And if you are surrendered to Him and open and willing for Him to use you however He wants to, I believe He'll do His greatest work as His last work in your life. That everything up to that point, what did somebody say the other day, is like a dress rehearsal for what's to come. So, look for the supernatural things of God. Listen for His voice, you guys. Pay attention. Yeah, it's important. He's coming. It's going to be soon. All right. I love you guys. Today, Marvin was telling me that maybe if there were 700 subscribers, maybe then he'd do a video with me. And I'm like, really? Would you? I need your word. I need you to promise. And he's like, well, I'll think about it. I'm like, 700? But anyway, I really want him to I want the two of us to tell our story together, but I can't make him do it. But one of these days, I believe he will. So anyway, you might want to go find some people to subscribe, because I think if we suddenly went up to 700, he'd pretty much have to do it. So if you haven't subscribed, you can subscribe. And if you're interested at all in these videos, and please share them with anybody that you think they might be an encouragement to them or help them in any way. And my dog's eating something, I don't know what. And be sure and hit the like button and leave a comment. If you want to email me, my email is in the description of this video. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Maybe not in this exact spot. I'm not sure where I'll be. Wherever I am, that's where I'll see you. All right. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.